Welcome to another edition of the Sim Racing Garage. I'm Barry Rowland, and today we're going to be reviewing some magnetic shifters. Now these are some aluminum bits versus some of the carbon fiber bits that we've tested before here on Sim Racing Garage. And these come from a company called Precision Design Worx out of Minnesota. And they come with a couple of paddles. First they have the small F1 type paddle for a smaller wheel, and they have a GT type paddle. Now the GT paddle is the one that we're going to be using here. The reason is we've already got a GT setup on our Sam Maxwell button plate using the great Martin Asher carbon fiber magnetic shifters. So we're going to take these off, install the aluminum bits on there, and see how they do. So let's get started. Alright, let's take a closer look at the shifter itself. Now when you hold this in your hand, you know right away that you've got a really nice bit in your hand. This shifter really feels nice, it looks nice, the machining is great on it, and if you've seen my other videos, you know here at the Sim Racing Garage, we love our machining on aluminum, carbon fiber, steel, whatever it may be. We love that stuff when it's done correctly, and this is done correctly. Very nice stuff. Now this is billet 6061 T6 aluminum that Kyle uses on these shifters. Very good stuff, very stiff and very tough. The anodization on it is a Mill A 8625 Series 3 hard coat anodization. Very tough stuff, and I can attest to that because I've actually slipped while I was screwing things in and doing things while I was around this shifter, and you can't see a mark on it. Very, very nicely done. I'm sure you can scratch it, but it's very tough stuff. And again, a testament to how well built these shifters are. And I really like the design of the shifter too. It's got the magnets, of course, using the spring, and you can see that the angle on that lever is not bent. It's actually milled out of a solid piece or block of aluminum to be able to achieve that angle, which means they had to throw away a lot of aluminum to get that piece out of it. Same way with the actual body of the shifter. And you can see the body has some nice milled out pieces to save on weight and give you some access to the screw holes down there if you need to mount from that direction. But I'll be mounting from this direction. So once you hold it in your hand, you can see it's a very nice unit. Now the switch he uses on this, and I'll look this up on the internet. Let's get you guys to see the number there. So we get some focus. That would help. There we go. Alright. So you can see what the number is on the switch. Now this is a sealed switch, what's called a sealed switch, with 2 million cycles for the rating on it. And if I can get the angle right on here, I'll show you the switch on the top. And there it is. And you can see that little blue seal on it. So that seals the water or moisture. Maybe not, if you dip it in water, it might not work. But if you have like moisture in the air and dust, that will seal it all out. And on the bottom of the actual switch on top there, you'll see that there's actually another block that actually plugs into these 3 blades that hang down from this switch. And then the block allows you to attach wires, and then that allows you to attach it to your wheel. And by the way, very nicely done shrink wrap here, tubing. All this stuff is very nicely done. For me, it's going to be way too much wire, but it's nice to see he puts an ample amount of wire on this shifter so that no matter where you're mounting it, you're going to have plenty of wire to reach where you need to solder it onto, or put your clip on the end and plug it into. I'll be soldering mine in, and I'll be cutting a lot of this wire off because I'm not going to need it. So another thing about the magnets is they'll never go bad like a spring does. Now, they might lose some of their magnetic pull over the years, but not too much, I wouldn't imagine. And another thing is, if you ever had to replace one of these magnets for whatever reasons, it's nice to know that they're not epoxied in, it's easy to replace it. Same with the switch, 2 screws there, and you can replace your switch very easily and just plug this bottom piece back on it, and you're good to go. Well, the magnets actually are not epoxied in. How do I know that? Well, I kind of accidentally found that out. I had 2 of the shifters together, and one of them grabbed the other magnet. So to demonstrate that, I'll actually open this shifter and stick my thumb in there so that I've weakened the magnetic field between these 2 magnets. And then I'll take another very powerful rare earth magnet that I have and put that on that magnet, and you can see it'll pull it out. And when that happened, you saw the bottom magnet actually dropped out and attached itself to the screws that are on the switch, and of course that comes right off. But I want to do that to show you the holes in here, or the milled parts of those holes. Again, all anodized Down in the hole also, very nice. I really love it when things are done properly, and this is done properly. And I'll flip it around the other side, and you can see that one too. Very cool. You can also see the seal on the bottom of the switch. So it's easy enough to put it back together. Again, an easy maintenance shifter is what I love. So I'll take the rare earth magnet off again, if I can get it away from my other magnet. You can see how powerful this stuff is. It's got a magnetic field. It's holding it through my hand. That's how powerful these things are. So I'm going to have to two-hand it. Bear with me here. There we go. Get off of there. All right, so now what I'll do is flip it over, and well, I'll just do this one first. All you got to do is pop it in there, and of course, just popping it in, there's no magnet on the other side to hold it in. And we'll take the other magnet, flip it over, and drop that one in, and it'll just pop right in like that. So now we're good to go. Back to a nice, powerful magnet pulling against another one, and a great clicking sound. All right, so I just want to show you that again to show you how much thought went into this design. I really like this design. As far as maintenance, it was a forward-looking design. It's going to be easy if anything breaks. And I always think of those kind of things. I know a lot of people don't, but I've been around machining and equipment and electronics and stuff long enough to know that it'd be nice to be able to replace things easily, and that's what this is going to be. Now, I'll actually show you the shifter paddle that I've already attached. And you can see just by the shifter paddle being on here, it actually sounds a little different. It's already starting to deaden the sound of those clicks. This is a very nice carbon fiber piece. It's got a lot, and I really like that too, not just a little bit, but a lot of in and out or lateral movement for adjustment. So you can tune this to exactly the way you want it to. And if you need the shifter to be further away from the wheel rim or closer, that's easy enough to put spacers in there. And he's giving you some very long screws here so that if you need to space it out, you can see the screw only goes in. It needs to go into the body about that much. And that gives you a lot of room for spacing as far as moving it in and out for the reach of your hand. Again, a good design, well thought out, and well executed. I really like the feel of this. And the paddles themselves are actually pretty thick. You look at this one here. This is the F1. And I'll give you a closer look at what that carbon fiber looks like. It's very nice stuff. Very well done. Again, a lot of adjustment in this one too. And if we mic it out, I'll show you. It's like 3.19, see if you guys see that, millimeters. Now, the GT paddle, again, is very thick. That comes out to about 3.3, 3.04. So it's not quite as thick as the F1 one, but it's still very thick. Now, there's not much else to show you on these shifters. I mean, after all, they are just shifters. So what we're going to do is go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, I'll have these installed on my Sam Maxwell button pod, or button plate, some people like to call them pods, and we'll see how it looks once we get that done and before we actually take it for a drive. So we'll do that next. Alright, we've got the wheel all set up now. We've got the shifters mounted to the Sam Maxwell custom button plate. And I just fabricated some aluminum brackets. You can see them there in between the spokes. And there's a little L bracket of 1/8 inch aluminum that I just cut with a hacksaw and sanded them down smooth. So you get to see it there a little bit. There's a view of it. And use some actually flathead screws, so a nice flat surface underneath there. You'll notice there's no plate, carbon fiber plate on here, because I haven't decided how I'm going to route the wires yet. Right now I just tucked them into these cavities that are already in the button plate here. And we've mounted up our quick release. So now we're ready to go put this on the sim steering direct drive force feedback system and give it a run. And I can tell you right now that they feel really well. It's just if you've never had a magnetic shifter and used them, I highly suggest you do that when you get a chance, because there really is a big difference than any other kind of shifter, spring-driven shifter, if you will. And of course, these are really nice GT paddles on here. You can drive on top of your wheel and shift easy. You can drive in the middle, the bottom, and it's easy to reach the shifters or whatever position you're in. And that's cool, because a lot of times when you're in a race, you want to rest your hands in different positions on the wheel and still be able to reach the shifters. And it's no problem with these guys, because they are very, very long. And some people might even think they're too long, but I actually kind of like them. And as far as the spacing out from the rim of the wheel here, it's about perfect for my reach. I can just get my fingers on it just exactly where I want it to be. So this is really working out well so far. Now we'll just go ahead and mount it up and give it a spin in the rig and see how we like driving it. Alright, we're at Mount Panorama in the BMW Z4 GT3 car. This is a great car to use with my GT wheel. And using these shifters, they're just crisp, precise. I always know which gear I'm in. I like to count my gears once I learn the track a little bit, and I can count clicks very easily with these shifters to let me know which gear I'm in without looking down and seeing a number on my steering wheel or on the screen. And that allows me to make sure I'm in the right gear for the right turn. And if you don't do that, there's still a nice clicking sound, just a positive note that you've actually shifted the gears. Never missed a shift with these. They're just fantastic, superb type of shifters. And really, there's not much else to see here except me using the shifters. And all I can say is if you have a chance to buy some magnetic shifters, and especially these shifters, you can't go wrong buying them because they just transform your wheel. They really do if you're running some kind of a spring type paddle shifter at the moment. Right, so I guess that wraps up the driving section of this video. Now we'll just get on to the final thoughts. Final thoughts on the magnetic shifters from Precision Design Worx. I have to say first that it's a great thing to see more of these types of shifters becoming available to the sim racing enthusiast. It wasn't too long ago that it was hard to get a racing shifter for your custom wheel builds. Now we have several to choose from, and they are professional grade units at, well, relatively reasonable prices. Kyle at Precision Design Worx has done a superb job on these shifters. From the materials and parts that he uses to the precision milling of the billet aluminum, these shifters just shine. The only real con I can find for these shifters is that, well, at $200 shipped, they're not a cheap set of shifters. But compared to other magnetic shifters available today, they're really priced quite reasonably. The pros of the course are that they are racing grade magnetic shifters. If you've ever used this type of shifter, you know how much better they feel than the spring-driven paddle shifters out there. Just worlds apart, really. Precision Design Worx shifters are a well thought out design with an eye towards easy maintenance and high durability. I would not hesitate to recommend these shifters to anyone who is looking to build a custom racing wheel for themselves or someone who is contracting with one of the custom wheel builders available today. You won't be disappointed. Well, that's it for now. I'm Barry Rowland, and thanks again for watching the Sim Racing Garage channel.